look at this and tell me what you see. Because I see female empowerment. I look at this, I see a pretty American lady, and she would make for a really good superhero. But this is not what the people who currently work at Marvel would agree with. I mean, they would look at it, and do you know what they would see? They would see misogyny. Because according to them, this is how, quote unquote, real women are supposed to look like. And it comes a time when you just need to stay back and ask, like, was it worth it? Was it really worth it to ruin an entire comic book industry and put it in the shitter? And you notice a drop in quality, not in just the storylines that they're making, but a drop in quality in the art style. And a drop in quality even in the paper. Like, there's people complaining that you can take the ink off the paper, or the paper is of shady quality and sometimes it breaks. Like, the internet is filled with these complaints. And you just gotta take a step back and ask yourself if this was worthy. Like, what was it worth it to ruin an entire comic book industry? A lot of YouTubers, and I've never heard this from anyone but me, explain properly the get woke, go broke mentality. Because it's real. But it's not real for why people think. It's not that woke movies would not sell or woke comic books would not sell. No, the problem is different. The way I explain it is that the people who are woke are very intolerant. They're absolute bigots. They cannot coexist. They cannot work alongside a person that is not woke, that is not as virtuous as they are. And they will do everything in their power to bully, harass, and kick that person out of the company, regardless if that person had a major contribution to the company or not. So you look at DC and you see talented artists like Ethan Van Sciver and many others who, the moment they went independent, they managed to make over $1 million with just one issue of their comic book. And they get kicked out. These are the talent. They're the ones that were the muscles at these companies. And they get pushed out because they're not woke. And then you get stuff like this being printed. Like, this is just abysmal. This is like something that a 9-year-old can paint. And this is considered, quote-unquote, professional. It's what they have the audacity to put up and say, yeah, we're the best in the industry. We're the ones that are doing stuff. And again, like, everything is going to fall down. Like, the art style is going to fall down. The stories are going to fall down. Everything. Because that's what you get. When you hire woke, you get woke. You don't get talent. Because they're not looking for talent. This is why when you go on Twitter and you look at these people posting from DCU or from Marvel, you think they're like CNN anchors. Like, you think they are hired to be political analysts rather than the fact that they're hired to do a job. Because I wonder just how many of them legitimately are woke. Like, for real. I am willing to bet some of them even voted for Trump. I would be shocked if that's not the case. But they can't admit that. They have to pretend that they're more woke than their colleagues, so that when someone gets fired for another comic book not selling and being shelved, it's not them. It's like, no, don't fire me because I'm the best in the business. I'm so woke. I am so woke that I'm the most wokiest of the wokie. That's what they're doing. That's why they're virtue signaling all the freaking time. And you get to see how these people fall up the stairs. Like, this is a new expression that I'm making, but it's true. Like, they fall up the stairs. Like, you will see someone that's being put in charge of a comic book, and they can't even get published more than 3 or 4 numbers, right? Like, people just don't buy it. So it ends up with the comic book being shelved. Now, at any company, at any normal company, you would think that, well, they're obviously going to get demoted, right? Like, they're obviously going to get a firm talking to, because, like, they just wasted company money. But not at Marvel, not at DC. Like, these people get promoted even higher. It's why I'm saying they're falling up the stairs. Like, if you're a failure, you get promoted. It's really bizarre. And by the way, like, you look at these people on the Twitter, and they self-congratulate each other, and they go like, oh, well, we got some award in the New York Times, or we got some award in this publication, or The Guardian spoke nice of our new launch. And it's like, yeah, but I don't think the people on New York Times buy your comics. You know, like maybe you like the Circle Jerk and it's like some prestige and having your comic being placed in New York Times, but like I think the prestige would be if people actually buy your comic. I think the prestige would be if you can actually sell the merchandise that you're hired to put out. And I noticed like some of the ways they try to bypass the consumer. Like I noticed this when left-leaning people infest something. The first thing is like, how can we get to that sweet, sweet taxpayer money? Because the taxpayer money is not a market force. I mean, you get it no matter what. No matter how bad your product is, you're going to get it. So they want to tap into it. And what they did with comic books is that they tried to sell it to schools and libraries. Like, if you look at some comic books, like Superman versus the Klan, for instance, which has nothing to do with the previous Superman versus the Klan, which was actually a masterpiece. You know, this is basically like, hey, do you think America should have borders? Oh, then you're just like the Klan. You're literally like the Klan. You're like Hitler incarnate. Right? So what they do is like they price it around $10 for a comic, and I'm like, who the hell is going to pay $10 for a comic book? Are you insane? And then you realize if you actually go and you listen to the TED Talks the author of the comic gives, it's like, no, he wants to sell it to schools and libraries. Because he banks on the fact that the people at the schools and at the libraries are progressive, and they're going to buy his progressive garbage. That's literally it. And others, you know, they try to get some movie deals going on. It's like, oh, look, my comic book got posted in the New York Times and, you know, people like it, so can I get a movie deal, por favor? Like that's how they're trying to make money. They hate the consumer. Like this is another reason why getting woke, going broke is a problem. Because you go on the Twitter and you see that these people have nothing but contempt of the consumer. Like no other industry. No other industry does this. It's like, imagine going into a shop and the lady behind the counter would be like, the customer. The customer is here again. What are your political leanings? Tell me now. Tell me now or I kick you out. You know, it's like, it's insane. And they share block lists filled with customers. You know, literally, they should be made into a documentary in order to tell you how not to run a business. Like, if you run a business exactly the opposite on how these people at DC and Marvel are running theirs, you are guaranteed some level of success. You know, like you start, at least you don't start from zero. You start from plus something. Just by doing literally the opposite of what these people at Marvel and DC are doing. Oh my god, it is surreal. It is surreal. And look at this, you know, like just... Okay, so she's got like a brain tumor because this is the only reason why one eyelid would be smaller than the other. Like the brain tumor is pushing against her right eye. I don't even know if these are supposed to be tits or pecs. And by the way, notice how Anita Sarkeesian isn't complaining. Like, this is something else. Did you find that interesting? If the artist is progressive, then you don't have the culture critics complaining and saying, oh, why does a woman have boob armor? It's like, no, that's perfectly fine. It's acceptable, right? It's only if the artist... I wouldn't even say right-wing, but I would say, like, not leftist. You know, like the producers of The Mandalorian. Oh, then it's all about the boob armor. Oh, my God, like, they can't sleep at night because women have breasts. Yes, astonishing. Good job ruining the comic book industry, guys. Superheroes cherished around the world. A culture that has managed to go around the globe, completely destroyed by socialists masquerading as comic book critics. Like, literally, all they did was that you guys are sexist. And the people in the comic book industry was like, oh, why would you call us that? Like, that is horrible. How can we not be sexist? And the culture critics were like, just hire us and give us full control of your company, and we're going to make sure you're not sexist anymore. And this is the result, you know? I guess it's not sexist. At least it's not sexist. So when you fire people, when you tell them that they have to be laid off during the time of the great pandemic, just tell them, you know what? At least you did the right. At least you were on the right side of history.